No, go.
Okay. My question is, it goes along with multiple solutions to problems. If we want to become better adept at raising our vibrations to reach, our healers and our guides and those who have passed on that we love, in the energy realm and heaven. We've been told by people here how to do it, Ron Core. Is there any advice from the spirit world on how to raise our vibrations?
As you have been given the advice from people on the physical plane, that probably is all you need.
Okay.
From my point of view, on the spiritual plane, there is no need to raise your vibration, so to speak. You are always in contact with the spirit world, although you may not recognize this. It is part of yourself because you are part spirit. Is that not true? You have that which is referred to as your soul. And this part of you that is spirit, of course, can communicate with other spirits. There is also that aspect of you which is referred to as your higher consciousness or your high self. And you see, you are composed of that which is physical, your physical body, and that which is spiritual. We often say the conscious, the subconscious mind, and the higher consciousness. But the higher consciousness, that's part of your spirit, is always attached to and remains in spirit. It is that which is between you and spirit. It is the vehicle of communication by which you can reach understanding or hear the words of spirit. It comes to you through your own higher consciousness. So you do not have to raise your vibration so much as you have to simply seek to ask for the answer. When you ask for the answer and you seek to be open to the answer, that will automatically extend your consciousness, open your higher consciousness to information from spirit. And then it is only accepting that and using it to your best advantage. I understand that there is that problem of doubt, that what you are hearing and what you are feeling is your own imagination. And you have to lay that perception aside, because what you are hearing and what you are feeling may not be your imagination. You may be sensing direct communication from spirit. And so it is only up to you to take action on it. In the reading that was read earlier, it was interesting that the Christ consciousness spoke of experiencing pain when an individual would ask for guidance and help, and one was given it, would not take it, and would not move beyond it. That this is, it is not exactly pain, since when you are in spirit, you cannot experience pain, but it is a sorrow that this person who is asked for guidance, who was given the guidance, cannot hear it, understand it, implement it, or is unable to do so. Not because they haven't heard it, not because it hasn't come to them, but because they are attached to their own opinions and ideas and their level of consciousness, which says, this is so, not that. And as such, they may not be able to experience and move beyond their point of being, the point that they don't want, they cannot move out of their problem and implement solutions because they are unwilling to make changes within themselves. Excuse me, the medium is speaking quite funny. There is something going on with her voice. I hope it is still understandable to you all. So do you understand now what I am saying? Does it make a difference to you to know that this is not a problem to raise your consciousness, that you are always in tune and you are always able? It is merely in the accepting and working with what you have, what ideas come to you, and seeking to help them. You see, sometimes the answers come or are given and they are rejected because, well, that can't be right. It is too simple. If there may be any number of reasons why you in your own mind and your own being might be unwilling to accept answers that have come because they seem too hard or too simple, too easy. It does not matter, but there are many times that answers are rejected.
Yes, thank you, Rancour. It's very encouraging to me, for sure. So to
Well,
know
that
that,
is good. You
yes.
must trust yourself and just continue to ask for the guidance. When something doesn't work, just try again.
I will. Yes, thank you so much.
You are welcome. Are there other questions?
You know,
I have a
already got a
question.
question. No, go.
Is that,
Were there two people? Was someone else jumping in with me or what?
I believe it is Robin who is speaking. You continue,
Okay, just
please.
me. Okay, good. So, when we were talking about raising your vibration, I noticed different times in my life that I was more sensitive to things than other times. For example, clairaudience would be more pronounced and then it went away, or clairvoyance, and then same thing. Now my thing is sensing energy around me. I've always had that for, I don't know, past 10 years, but this one is more annoying in a way. I know that we have what I guess some people would call animal totems or different entities in our auric field, but I can sense them even moving back and forth within my field on my left side by my hip, and then it's migrated over to the right. I'm at work sometimes, and it's kind of annoying to be honest. Or at night, I'm trying to sleep, trying to settle in and sleep. Can you shed some light on what's really going on here and what I can do to, live with that? Or is it a negative entity that needs to leave? Because I was at ISD years ago and the shaman came in from Mexico and he removed an entity from me. And I actually felt lighter after I walked off the table and back to my seat. I'll never forget it. So thank you.
So your question is, what you are sensing are feelings in the sense of tingling, their physical feelings in various parts of your body?
It's an energy, it's hard to describe, but I can feel it moving around in my field, separate from myself. And it moves sometimes from left to right around the hip area. I was told by a psychic that, there was something in my field. I don't want to spoil it to give you, if you come up with the same answer, then we're good. But I'd like to know what to do about it or what I can do to live with it. And if it's something negative, how to remove it.
Well, at any time that you are in communication with spirit or entities, they need or must obey your requests. So if you find this feeling of energies or movement around yourself, and it is possible for you to eliminate it by simply requesting that the entity or the cause of that which you are feeling is that it stops, that you do not wish to feel this anymore, and to reject that feeling. Do you understand?
Yeah, but part of me senses, and I'll tell you what the psychic told me. She said that it was a cat. And I could see it through my third eye. As she was describing, it was a black cat with a gold collar. And I thought more of an animal totem. If this is a protective being that made an agreement with me before I came down to be a part of my world here in this expression, in this lifetime,
So what you are
I'd like to
saying to
honor
me,
that, but I don't know enough. Like, I like to know what you sense, what you see.
so what you are saying to me is that while you find this, we will call it a cat, very annoying, you want to keep the cat. So it really does not matter why, if it is a cat that has come for some reason, you have brought perhaps a familiar or was a cat in a past life that was yours and that it wants to be with you again. It is up to you. Do you want it or not want it? If you do not want it, ask it to leave and tell it, send it away with love. Just ask it to leave you alone and that you do not want to have its annoying presence, vibration, feeling it. It is very distracting. And while you love having him there, you do not want to feel it anymore. And you request that he continue to live in harmony in spirit world and not bother you. That is what you need to do. If you do not want to do that, you do not want to send it away, that is okay, but you have asked the question in such a way and then objected to an answer, so that you are now claiming the situation for yourself. You like it for some reason, and you don't want it to go away. It makes you feel special. And so then that is fine, keep it. And the cat, if that's what it is, will be with you. If it is, even if it is a cat and you do not want it anymore, simply ask it to not bother you, that you love the attention and that you are glad that it was with you for whatever time period it has been with you. But now it is time for the animal to be at rest. So it is time for you, address the animal as you, it is time for you to be at rest and just live calmly in spirit. Go with my love, send it away with your love. And that is the way for it not to bother you anymore. The reason it is with you makes no difference in your life today.
Yeah, well, I thought it was more protective, but you're right. I'm sure the usefulness, and it's not so much special. I just thought it was more of a protector.
But
And
it is still your choice. If it is a protector, and it could be, then you can keep it with you. But if it is annoying to you, which is what you have said to me, then you need to allow it to go. It doesn't need you. Just tell it you do not need his protection, that you appreciate his love and you want him to go with love, and you know that everything will be fine.
okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
You are most welcome. Are there other questions?
Yes, I had a question. When you were talking about contacting our mind or getting into our mind to, you know, contact spirit or your own spirit or whatever, in order to contact your mind, don't you have to go through your physical brain? And if your physical brain is either damaged or perhaps you're sick and miserable or whatever, and you can't bring your vibrations up or whatever to even meditate or whatever. If you're in that kind of position, how are you supposed to get out of that and be able to, ask any spirits for help?
Well, you don't have to raise your vibration. It takes no effort. You just need to go inside and you just need to ask. And yes, it will go through your brain. Are you telling me that your brain is not working properly? that you cannot frame a question and look for an answer?
That's what I was thinking. If somebody has even brain damage, or, or they're really sick and they, how you're all fuzzed out when you're sick or something, and you can't really concentrate on anything. If you're in that position, how do you get around that?
First of all, it isn't necessary to concentrate. Most people, when they are concentrating, will block anything they are hearing from spirit, because they are concentrating with their own mind in their own physical body. Most psychics, if you observe them when they are giving a psychic reading, will often get a bit of a distant look on themselves. They're not concentrating on anything. They're allowing or listening or something or seeing. They are just allowing an impression to come into their mind. So they do not concentrate. Concentration will stop your receiving of the information you desire. So therefore, by simply framing the question, by asking the question, and that is what you are doing when you are going inside, you are asking yourself for the answer, so to speak, or you can frame it to spirit, but it is part of you. So it's within you already, the knowledge, the information that you need, because you are always one with God. You are made up of the substance of God's being. In the beginning, when God created this whole universe, there was nothing but himself. He was the first, the only energy that there was, the only substance there was. And he brought forth into the physical realm. He created the physical realm from his own idea and from the vibration of his own being, remembering that that which is non-physical, like sound or light, these things are not physical to touch, but they exist and they have a higher vibration. The physical world is a denser vibration. So you are made up of the vibration of God, because that is all there was for him to create from, his own self. And if you understand that you are made up of God's stuff, the stuff of God, that is who you are. You are part of God. You cannot be separated from God. And so the knowledge and the wisdom of God dwells within you. And it has been with you many times in the past. You have sought solutions. You have tried to figure out what is best, and you did. You may have thought it was your own mind speaking. It may have been your own consciousness. That's what you thought, but it was also inspired by God, inspired by spirit, for it is there as you are one with God in all ways. You have the power and the intelligence of God, and that intelligence works within you. Now, if you are feeling very, very ill and your mind is not working very, very well, it is true. You may have trouble listening or hearing this information. But if you are in that level of illness, I do not know what you are seeking to learn or to find out, or seeking what guidance on things to do. So what you can be looking for is perhaps a way to heal yourself, in which case then, thinking, you need to think about what you need to do. The mind will automatically tell you to pray, or to make affirmations, or to go see the doctor, or take your medication, or something along those lines. The answers that you have are the ones that you receive. and you will get a continual supply of alternative answers if you ask for them. Of course, you may reject some of them, such as go see a medicine man. It may come into your head, but you may not wish to do that. But you will receive, your mind will continue to give you answers until you stop asking. And actually, sometimes it may run out of alternatives, but you will have already rejected many things.
Well, is someone with brain damage able to even ask the questions?
They probably, if someone is brain damaged, they may not be in a condition to ask the questions and go within themselves. That is true. But what then can they ask any question?
Right. So how can they, I mean, if we're here to, experiment, to learn things, they're not getting anywhere. They're just like existing.
Well, that is true for some individuals. And you may look at this as it's an entirely different situation. There are individuals, such as all those who have acquired or manifested Alzheimer's disease, which slowly robs them of their ability to think. However, there are always people who like to serve others. And what they are doing is actually allowing themselves to be served by others because they need people to take care of them. And so they become an opportunity. It is a special service that they are living when they are seriously ill, have ceased to think, but still need care because the physical body may still be functioning to some degree, even if the mind is not, that these people are providing a service to others. And it is a form of karma, in a sense, to take on such service. Do you understand what I am trying to express?
I think so. So that they're like temporarily out of service.
Yes, but
I mean, and they volunteered for this, I presume?
yes,
Oh, okay.
that they would have come into this life knowing that this opportunity to be of service would be available to them. Now, you may not look at that as an opportunity.
Right.
And I understand that from the physical point of view, within the physical world, this looks like a punishment or something horrible that is going on. And in many ways, it is understandable to think that. However, it still is giving an opportunity for others to be of service. That is the only way I can say it, because unfortunately, this is so with your world at this time. You have extended the life of the physical body to such an extent that frequently the mind, various aspects of the body slowly fail. And you very slowly move into a state in which simply life cannot exist. So you have those people who are on life support systems. These individuals may not have any consciousness. There is nothing left to them. They are only being kept alive because there are machines that are keeping them breathing, and their heart continues to beat, and they continue to give nutrition to these people and that which is needed so that the body stays alive while it is slowly deteriorating. And eventually the body will not be able to sustain itself and the person will die. But it may take a very long time. And is that individual, the question I would point to you, I would say to you is that person even alive, even though the body is continuing to function? And I will tell you, in many instances, the spirit has already left. And all that's left is a physical body that is deteriorating. And so it is the way it is. Your sciences have extended life and extended life so that eventually many people slowly die rather than dying more swiftly because they have a heart attack, a stroke, or become so seriously ill that they die within a matter of days or a short time, a month, something like that. Now you extend life and extend life and extend life.
Right.
And for some reason, call that prolongation of transition to the spirit world as life.
Okay. Now I got one more short question. Short, I hope. The people that are here existing, whatever, and they have something happen to them, I don't know, say car accident or something, and they've gone into brain damage or they can't function anymore or whatever. Did they come into this life with the intention of winding up that way too?
Some of them may have, but this may not be their intention of what they came in to do. It is hard to look at, it is difficult to make a generalization to say that everyone who's been involved in a car accident that left them totally paralyzed came into the life for the purpose of being totally paralyzed. That may not have been their purpose in coming. They may be willing for that situation or have seen that possibility, but that is may or may not have been their purpose. I don't know if I've answered your question properly.
It's sort of.
Yes.
So the people that are basically born with mental problems and can't get out of it did that on purpose, but some of the people who
Yes,
it happened by accident or whatever maybe did not do it on purpose.
that is correct.
So they still can't contact themselves, their higher self, because they can't.
There may be no need for them to contact their higher self, and their higher self is still there between themselves and heaven, so to speak. It is simply there just because you cannot talk to these people, that they may not be able to communicate because they are in such a way. That does not mean that there is not communication between their mind and spirit world.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's interesting. Okay.
There are many possibilities you just do not understand, and it may not. The appearances from the physical world may not be as you suspect, or your interpretation may be that this would be a horrible thing to be in this way, but it may not be as bad after a point. You know, even in Alzheimer's, there reaches a point where the person is probably very frustrated by their inability to think clearly and understanding things, and they are aware that they could understand these things more in the past, and they don't understand things now. But eventually that does go away for themselves, and there is no discomfort over their condition. I don't know how else to put it.
That was a good way to put it. Okay.
They cannot think, they cannot remember, and so there is nothing to remember. And
Right.
they are satisfied with that life. And if that was their purpose, if there was part of that was part of, meant to be part of their incarnation, they are okay, so to speak.
Oh, already. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Are there other questions?
If no one jumps in, this is a long-standing question, and I've gotten the green light to talk about it. As you well know, I have two children, and my youngest, about 2 years ago, came to me and my husband and told us that I don't even know how to put the words, but because I'm so wrapped around the pronouns. But anyway, came out to say that she was transgender female. Took us totally by, I can't even describe the words, just shock and whatnot. And, we didn't really handle it very well in the beginning and whatnot. And I've learned that, as I've taught, I came here for patience, tolerance, and unconditional love. And it's been, challenging on many levels. There's things that I hear from the right, and there's things that I hear from the left. This is an agenda afoot for transhumanism. The other one is it's always been a part of humanity. This is nothing new. I just wanted your perspective on everything, and I appreciate your input. Thank you.
It was difficult for me to hear you as something became distorted in your speaking, but I believe I understand the question. You are basically asking my opinion on transgenderism and what it is good. You are correct in that there have been instances of transgenderism throughout history, where men have acted as females and females have acted as males, dressing and being. A famous author, George Sand, it was a woman and she dressed as a man. So that is an example that happened quite some time ago, and you you may be aware of that author by the name of George Sand. It's French, so George Sand. At any rate, this has been I will call it a mental disturbance that has existed within the mind of people on the physical plane for as long as there have been people on the physical plane. From time to time, someone gets confused in their mind and they perceive themselves to be of the opposite sex. Now, some people believe that this could be due to previous incarnations, that their last incarnation may have been of a different gender and they have carried that memory forward. And so, although they are physically born male, they still think of them as a previous incarnation in which they were female. There is, of course, the science that people can quote. The physical body is the physical body. One cannot change gender all the way because the hormones, although you can give artificial hormones, there is still, I'm going to use the word stuff. There are aspects of the body which must remain as they were and cannot be undone, even though you can inject hormones and try to change the exterior physical aspects of the person to resemble the opposite sex. Their internal parts are still male or female the way they were born. So there is a conflict there. Now, I am not sure if you ask for a judgment on this as to whether this is good or bad, and we simply will not make that judgment. We will simply say it is. You may consider these people to be mentally disturbed, if you will, and there is no solution or correction for the problem if they truly believe that they should be female when they have been born male, or the vice versa, be male when they have been born female. This is a mental disturbance, but there is no cure for this mental disturbance other than the surgeries and operations that they have discovered, and ways of helping someone to feel more at home in their body and allow them to behave as they would prefer to behave. So therefore, it is a mental disturbance which can be helped greatly by allowing the surgeries to transform the body. The difficulty lies in knowing that many people, unfortunately, can have the idea that while they are unhappy as male or female, that life would be better, but they're not truly transgendered, in that they don't have that serious conviction that they are the opposite sex than the one their physical body is displaying. And these individuals probably will not be served or made happy by doing the surgeries and the hormone treatments. And so they will still continue to be unhappy. But for those for whom there is this true mental disturbance, they may be more happy now that they have their body in the other sex. They have something that resembles the other sex, and they can act like that. And so that this is why they believe, and they, in a sense, it is their true nature. So I do not know if I've answered your question. Certainly, it is not meant to coach you on how you should act with your son or daughter, however you wish to think of her. But if she has been truly transgendered and is truly in her true nature as a female, she may be very happy with the surgeries and the hormones and continue on her life in this way. And that is what you can hope for if this is the truth. If it is not the truth, if it is a case of a situation where a person is just not sure who they are, that they are uncertain about themselves, the surgery will not help. And so it is helpful to try to ascertain that this is a real problem for the individual and not just a case of a lack of confidence in themselves, a lack of identity, understanding for themselves, a general lack of identity in their life. Has that been at all helpful?
Yeah, well, I was, this is a person at the age of 3 felt that something was amiss, and asked the question at the preschool teacher and went crying when it was described what a boy is and what a girl is. And so this is something from very early childhood. Now, my father-in-law, who's a psychologist, said that developmentally something must have happened between, I guess, birth and the first year of life. You know, who knows? It's always, with my father-in-law, it's always the mother's at fault. But I would say happier, not happy is, and is on HRT. And it's more, I think, societies.
Once again, your voice has dropped off. Excuse me. Once again, your voice has dropped off.
I'm sorry. It's saying that the society is more of the problem, in that, we live in redneck country. There's just a lot of dysphoria in general. And, there's a lot of backlash, particularly with transgender females in sports of late, or in politics. We're not there yet. We're not there yet as a society. And I was looking to see your insights if this was part of the transhumanist agenda, Or was this individual's last incarnation female? And could that possibly be the root of all of this? Thank you.
But similar to your last question, well, concerning yourself in the energy field, it does not matter whether this person was a female in his last life, and that is why he continues to think of himself as female, or that there has been something else that has gone wrong somewhere in the as this during the gestation period, as well as shortly after birth. This is, it really doesn't matter, because you just need to deal with the issue as it is today. And to say that if it makes you feel better to think that your son was a female in his last life and that this identification has carried over, you still have to deal with this identification for himself as a female. And you have, it is a mental illness, but the person can be as happy as they can be by allowing them to wear female clothing. There are so many degrees that have to go into this. It's very difficult to discuss it in general terms, because you have individuals men who just like to wear women's clothing from time to time, that they feel comfortable in it. It makes them feel good, and it is a way of stepping out of the problems in their own life and being something different. It is the same thing that some people experience when they are acting. They are playing roles and pretending they are something that they are not. And this gives them a sense of relief, and they step out of their everyday problems. And this is then good therapy for them. So your problem and issue is not why this person is this way, but what do we do now that he thinks he is this way, or that he is this way? What is the way to make his life the most beneficial? And if it is to take the steps to change, after you have explored the possibility that this is simply a lack of knowledge about who he is, then that is the best thing to do. After you have explored that possibility that it is not just an uncertainty about himself, but is a true gender dysphoria, then you can move forward and help him to make the transition that he needs to make.
Well, that's what I've been doing and supporting, and with the HRT therapy, is on hormone, female hormones and whatnot, and seems happier. There was something that you hear very often in the LGBTQ community: love wins. And I sat down and meditated one day, and you were talking earlier about being in tune with your higher self. And what I got was very clear: to love this person, and to accept as is, and just to be there. I feel that it's better to have a daughter that's alive than a dead son. And of course, the suicide rate is very high within that community. And so that's something that I don't want to bear because of judgment or whatever, or misunderstanding, or not putting myself in the shoe of another. So my take is love wins. So
that is a very good expression, and you are taking the right course. That if you are trying to support this individual, I am assuming that you have had taken him to a competent therapist to discuss this, And as long as that has been discussed, then by all means, do what you need to do to facilitate his comfort in his being. Simply giving him hormones is not going to make enough difference in that level, because there is all the other aspects of changing from male to female. And when we are speaking about the athletics, then of course, that is true that since he has a male body, to participate in female athletics would be highly unfair to all the females that he was competing against, because he never quite leaves or loses the aspects of the male body. No matter how much surgery or hormones have been given, there will still always be more of the masculine hormones and the building up of the muscles that no girl would have ever, or woman would have ever received. So.
Yeah, that he's, or I should say, she's not pursuing any sports. I'm just speaking in general terms, society as a whole,
I
making this a
understand.
big issue, but you're right. And thank you very much. I appreciate your input.
You are most welcome. And we have run out of time for this evening. I hope that all of you have been enjoyed this evening and our discussions. And I hope they have been of some service and help. And I give you all my blessings. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
I am back. Okay, well, I just had to come in to say good night too. Well, remember, I love you all. Good night.
Good night.
Well, I would never have expected that. I'm still on? Yeah.
Yes.
Hi, Robin.
Hi there. So, yeah, I've got the green light to discuss this. As a matter of fact, I asked her, she said, well, I wanted to talk with Ron Carr for a while, but then I knocked on the door and I'm busy doing something now. Because normally I work on Tuesday nights. That's why I'm not here very often. But I was off this Tuesday, so I can catch it. But yeah, so it's a lot. I think my issue was dealing with Raymond, being burned out from that, and then as a young adult with my youngest, finding out something else as well, and I was just overloaded, you know.
Well,
So
for whatever it's worth to you, Robin, my oldest son had a gender change 22 years ago. So I got the same information you got about a long time ago. And so I have 4 daughters and 1 son now. Actually, I only 3 daughters left. But
I didn't know that about you, but thank you for sharing that as well. Maybe we can talk privately
yes,
at some time.
anytime.
I'd like your insights.
Anytime. My daughter is now more comfortable with my mentioning the fact that she was transgendered, and a long time ago had all her surgery and did everything she needed, that she needed to do for herself. She was married. The marriage did not survive. That was their intention. They thought they would be able to handle it, but her wife could not handle it. And so it eventually was the breakup of the marriage. I have 3 granddaughters. I have no idea how this has affected them. They are perfectly normal adults as far as I'm concerned. I don't know how they deal with it when my oldest granddaughter there, when you go to introduce your parents to the man you're going to marry, how you handle that.
Yeah.
But it is there, and you will not have that problem because your son has not been a father. So,
Yeah. Yeah, has been dating both men and women. And that was an adjustment as well. And then came out to say, well, I consider myself a lesbian. And okay,
Yes,
you
that
know,
that is
so
very confusing. And over the years, I have met transgendered people who once upon a time may have been heterosexual. A matter of fact, I met friends of my daughter. She has one couple who are friends of hers, and they were both transgendered. Um, and so as a couple, they are still male and female. Now, think about that just a few moments. She became male and he became female. And they
wow,
are together. Yes.
wow. Well, she was dating actually transgender female as well.
So this happens within that group. And the pronouns are very hard to get used to.
Yeah.
I have finally gotten pretty much excellent at it. For a long time, it was only when I was speaking about my daughter as a child that it gets hopelessly mixed up.
Yeah, I get corrected quite often and strongly. Or the friends that she acquaints herself with, non-binary, ace, arrow, all these words that I've never heard of in my
I do
entire
not
life.
like any of those things. I think that is this, is a manufactured. This is my opinion. Is a manufactured something that they have tried to eliminate normal sexuality, which is connected to the physical body that you are born with. That is normal. Getting rid of it is not normal. And that,
Right.
I think, does people a big disservice.
Yes,
Does children a big disservice that we should even talk about it. That's my opinion. I understand that when you were saying about not having you'd rather have an alive daughter than have a dead son. Yes, I understand about that. And
me too.
it is a difficult situation for those who are truly transgendered and who cannot take it. Some of the things my son told me about himself before he told me about his gender dysphoria were rather scary. I will put it that way.
Yeah.
So this is very, it is a difficult situation. It is a mental illness, but if the way to solve it is to give somebody hormones and let them do a little surgery to their bodies, then they're happy and healthy with it, that's good. But there's many people who will write in, and you will read about it from time to time, of people who have had to transit, switching surgeries and are desperately unhappy after, just as unhappy, if not more so, after their transition than because those are people who have a different problem. And it was not treated and not treated properly. They look for the simple solution. Oh, I'll just become a female, or I'll just become a male, and then I'll be happy. No, takes more than that.
Well, I find that the medical community is more than happy to have them transition. And now I was told that to have surgery, it's like 2 years. You have to have a mental screening, all this other stuff. I've asked that question. She has said very clearly, no, I'm not even considering that at this time. That's not in the cards. All my family, my side supported her completely. The other side, there were a couple, I think, that were holdouts, if you will, but they were polite and respectful, and realizing that this is a sensitive subject and that they don't really have a strong connection anyway with my family, my husband or my children. And so they just went along for the ride. But my thing, being awake and aware, I felt this was part of the transhumanist agenda very strongly. But you have to look at it as an individual thing. And this is my child. And I want my child in my world. And I think the world is her oyster. Me and my husband were both scratching our heads like, you're at the top of the food chain. You are a white male and in a society that puts white males at the top. And now you're going to subject yourself to all the things that women have dealt with, lower pay, lower respect, harder to get a job. You know, it was more like that, more like survival kind of thing, you know, and whatnot. But society is changing. But a lot of them say to me, Rob, I don't want it shoved down my throat. They can be who they want to be, but I don't want it shoved down my throat. Now, your daughter 20 years ago, and that not pioneer, but I mean, we can go back even further with that. But your daughter really 20 years ago, that was even a tougher road to hoe back then. And especially being a father at that time and then coming out afterward. I read a book as well of an individual that had the same situation. And it wasn't really helpful, but I started to understand a little bit more. So,
Well, I think Andrea's biggest problem was, she's an engineer. And when it was decided that she would be undergoing surgery, she had to let the people that she worked with know that she was going to have this change going on and needed to use the women's restroom. And that became a problem. I'm assuming, is your daughter wearing female clothes?
not so much in public, and that was also the confusion part for me and my husband, because we were like, wait a minute here, you claim to be something and you're not acting upon it. But there was a lot of dysphoria with just getting out of the house, being seen in public, letting the public know. I went and told my neighbors so that she could be more comfortable walking out of the house. But yet there's still just the clothing being worn in the house, or t-shirts that are more androgynous, or the pants that are the same pants. And I get the response, well, you're a tomboy, Mom. You wore male clothes all the time, and it's okay for you. So I can be a tomboy. I'm going to be a transgender tomboy. And I'm like, wait a minute, there's a difference between me and you.
If she's not going for the surgery right away, don't worry about it.
Yeah, she's not.
I mean, just let her wear the clothes that she's comfortable with.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, my daughter was going for because of her difficulties with her physical body, that it was very difficult for her, and that she wanted to take a knife to part of herself.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very probable that she would have killed herself if she did not go into this. She was going through therapy, and she was allowed to make her transition to physical surgery fairly soon. Back then, it was a case of you had to dress as a female and live as a female for a year before they would permit that. And she was not required to do that long. But, she got her surgery as soon as she possibly could. She went to Canada for it, as a matter of fact.
Wow.
And she did what, she dressed as a female when she went to work, and she used the female facilities, the women's facilities. And so that had to be announced to all those in the office. And in the business that she was working in at the time. So subsequently, everyone where she's worked has only known her as female. So, she's, as Andrea puts it about herself, well, I'm not a normal looking person. She's 6'1", and
Wow. And my kid's complaining
quite
at 5'10".
obese.
Yeah, mine's 5'10", and I think 5'5" 5'9.5", 5'10", with size
Yes, well,
10 feet, big feet, for male feet, definitely size, I think,
yeah, yes,
10.
right. Well, you can find all those.
Yeah.
You can find proper shoes for you.
That's right.
As Andrea said, yes, well, those areas that cater to Black women, which are often larger and have larger feet, she can find shoes. Oh, I have the gender pronoun slipped there. It's unusual now because I think of her only in the female gender. Pronouns are very hard. I've noticed we've hardly lost anyone. They've been enjoying this unusual
It's
discussion.
fine.
Yeah.
It's
I have a-
enlightening for a lot of people. Out of curiosity, though,
I have a
if she
comment.
was walking down the street, would she pass? Like, do people see her only as female now, and looks completely female to people that don't know anything?
I would think so. She's got pretty big boobs.
Okay. Wow.
That was a good one.
And she's fat. She's fat because she has gained weight. She lost a lot of weight so she could have her surgery. And when it was first done, matter of fact, Robin, you've been in my house, and I don't
Yeah.
know if you ever looked in my dining room where I had pictures of all my kids. There was a picture of her standing there. That I've known people who have said, particularly when she was thinner, that when she was first made her transition, that they would never have guessed.
Wow.
I say something, or am I allowed to speak?
Yeah.
Yeah, who is that?
It's Diana.
Hi, Diana.
Yesterday, I just met my husband's cousin's son who did the operation. He was a female and became a male, and such a sweet young man, so sweet. And years ago, I met, do you know Renee Richards?
Yeah, I've heard of her neighbors.
Yeah. She's a tennis player who was a very well-known eye doctor in New York as a male, and then did the change. And I was at a party with her. Oddly enough, a really good friend of ours was good friends with her, and then also a big job in tennis. And so she was always trying to play the circuit with the women. And I don't think they ever allowed her to play, but she was just lovely and charming. And I always had the feeling, that the two of us were kind of escaping the crowd because, we were, I feel myself to be a recluse, and I don't care what people think of me. I really don't. And she, probably was struggling with hoping people would accept and like her, but was so likable. And I admired her for her career as a very, wonderfully talented eye surgeon. And so, I think we should all be allowed to decide what we want in life. I mean, this is our dream, isn't it?
Well, certainly.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I just, the worst is it's hard because you do look to society and say, accept me. And for those of us who didn't have to make such a difficult decision, don't have to worry about that. I don't worry about that. I walk around and I say, like me or don't like me, who cares, One of the quotes I have on my wall from Abraham Hicks, who was channeled by Esther. People will love you, people will hate you, and none of it has anything to do with you. That's one of my favorite.
That's a good statement.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So anyways, I just wanted to say that.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, Norma, since my daughter is going for engineering, you said that she's at a different firm. When she first came out to her coworkers and whatnot, was that a problem for her at that firm or no?
Not that I know. Not that I know of. She never mention that she had a problem other than, there was the fact that an HR had to announce to everyone that she was transitioning and that she would now be using the ladies' restroom and the ladies' facilities. Other than that, no. My daughter is extremely talented engineer. She's got a unique set of abilities that basically came about because her father was an engineer, and he put all our children to work. Well, the first two anyway, to work in his own business. And so both my oldest daughter and Andrea, the one who transitioned, plus my second daughter, my first real daughter. See how confusing this can be.
Yeah.
My daughter, Catherine, Catherine did CAD machine and was a layout designer on electronics stuff. She was good at that, and that's what she worked at for a couple of years. And my daughter, Andrea, does a lot of machine language programming, which is quite a specialty at this point in time. I do not know what she earns, but I am I know that she once got a 5-figure bonus.
Whew.
So that's a pretty good Christmas bonus. So I think that she's considered extremely valuable where she works.
Nice. I'll tell my daughter that. She'll love to hear it. What kind of engineer is your daughter, or what did she start with? What kind of engineer?
She never completed her degree. She went through a year and a half or maybe 2 years at North College of Engineering, New Jersey Institute of Technology, when that was there, probably majoring in electrical engineering or electronic engineering. Her father specialized in power supplies, analog. He became an analog as opposed to digital. It was having to do with the time. Digital was brand new, and he, unfortunately, he envied the people who were working in the digital aspect when he had to work with the analog stuff. So that my first husband, that's his specialty, was in analog power supplies, which then became, since everybody went digital, doing analog. And for those of you who don't know the difference, analog has to do with magnetics and is what they did before digital stuff came along, before programming and things like that. So this analog specialty for my first husband became a very lucrative specialty for him, because not many people did it any longer, and he was an expert at doing it. So there comes the first son. He's got to work with his father. He acts as a technician. He does things. He puts things together. His father had him always working in the business. And so even though he's at college and learning engineering, he picked up his father's analog specialties and in power supply. So the company he works for now designs power supplies for lasers, and it's in Houston somewhere. And she has a house in New Jersey in Lake Mohawk, and she used to work from there, but now they have her working a lot from Brennan, which is outside of Houston. That's the company where her company is. They have a condo, and she has her own room at the condo, flies back and forth, but she's spending almost 180 days a year. She spent last year in Houston. So that's her specialty, is with analog design. So what is your daughter interested in?
She's studying environmental engineering.
I don't think it's going to make any difference from what I have heard, since my second son is a civil engineer. And, I've heard him mention that he works often with females. So I don't think it's going to make any difference.
Good. I'm glad that, yeah, cool. And Raymond actually attends the Newark College of Engineering at NJIT in industrial engineering. Hopefully he'll finish. Ron Carr, by the way, I have to tease Ron Carr here. I know Ron Carr's tapped into this conversation. Ron Carr, you said the 7-year plan. Let's try the 8-year plan.
Did he say the 7-year plan? Oh,
the 8-year plan. Raymond's on the 8-year plan, but you're a little off, but I'm going to let you pass on that one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's good. Spirit isn't very good about dates.
7, 8, yeah, give or take a year, but you know what? He's plugging away. He's had challenges and hiccups along the way. He's a good person. He'll give the shirt off his back. He's an honorable man, and I'm proud of him. I really am. We went down the shore yesterday. We had a great time, and I enjoy his company. Sometimes he drives a little screwy, but that's just me. That's just the mom in me. But you know, he's getting it done, and the school hasn't been completely supportive of his needs, but you know, he's fighting with that and whatnot. And I'm proud of him standing up for himself. You know, we had a little chat with Steve Oraho about reciprocity with schools, with the community colleges accepting, or I should say the four-year schools accepting community college courses and whatnot. Raymond apparently got a lower grade in a class at the community college up here, and then it was accepted into CCM. He got the degree, moved on to NJIT, and they were arguing with him that it wasn't acceptable. And he said, you accepted the degree from CCM. You have to accept all the classes, regardless of the grade. So he's asking Mr. Oraho to look into some kind of laws to tighten that up so that kids aren't having to double pay and whatnot. But you know, I give him credit for standing up for himself.
Well, my son Joe, who was my third child, he's the one who's a civil engineer, and we always laugh at Joe because he was on the 10-year plan.
Whoa.
It took
Oh
him
my
a while.
God. There's hope. There's hope here, Norma. There's hope.
It took him a while. He graduated and he eventually became a professional engineer. He passed his engineering license exam and became a
Nice.
professional engineer. So that's
Well,
what
good.
you need if you're going to be a civil engineer to work. And he is at the age of, how old is he? He's about 50, mid 50s, almost 57, 56. He's 55.
Okay.
He's retired. He retired last year. So there. It may have taken him
57.
10 years to complete college, but he's already retired from work because when he went to work for the Texas Department of Engineering, he graduated from school at the University of Texas, Arlington. When he first went there, he has spent 6 years in the Air Force, and in that 10 years trying to get his college degree, he frequently worked for the Army Corps of Engineers and also one of the, I guess, Texas University or A&M, one of them, doing traffic studies and things like that. And he was able to buy into the pension program for all the years he worked in the federal government and state governments and various types. And so it allowed him to retire at the age of 53. So you never know.
Wow. Well, we're looking forward a year and a half to retire at 60 for Mark. His Army pay will kick in, and FedEx will be fully, you know, stocked up and whatnot. So that'll be good. By the way, because I know other people may want to jump in. When your daughter's here, maybe the two of them can chat, you know, as a future engineer and an engineer. You know, if she's open to that, just run it by her and see. And, you know, I know my kid's heading back to school. Yeah.
Well, Andrea mentored many people through the transition experience. She has been a great help to many people. So she probably would if your daughter needs something, if she needs some little confidence or needs someone to talk to. Andrea would probably make it known, but I have no idea when she'll be in New Jersey again. She came home for her birthday, which is July 3rd, and she went back a week or so later, and so she's back in Houston area. So, okay, everybody out there, I'm going to say goodnight and put an end to this.
Thank you.
Okay, have a great week, everybody. I'll see some of you tomorrow, and for others who I will not, I'll see you whenever next I see you. It's been great talking. Bye-bye.
I just want to say I met Andrea at your house, and she is great. I love talking to her. She's very intelligent. She is tall, but she definitely looks like a girl.
There you go. Thank you, Donna.
You're
Um,
welcome.
That's what I said. There was no question that she looks female.
Yes, definitely.
Nobody thinks about that anymore. And let us put it this way. When she transitioned, a lot of family members, her own cousins, commented that they liked her now better.
Oh, okay, that's good. Surprising, but good.
Yes, I think it was partially because, you know, having that mixed nature that she had made her oversensitive as a male. And as a result, that caused her many problems, and she was probably uncomfortable in many situations. So when she transitioned, became female, and could be herself in all ways, everything was really better. And you
Awesome.
just need to give it time and let it all work out. But you know, she's a talented engineer. That's all I can say, judging from, you know, the. I just know their last two jobs. She worked directly for the president of the company, solving special problems. That was
Wow.
the one before this. And then when he was booted out of the company, then she found a new job, and she's happily working there. And I think she's a very valued employee. That's just because she's smart and intelligent, can figure things out, and has a very unique set of skills that she brings to having been her father's daughter.
There you
Her
go.
father's son, her father's daughter, and
That's
whatever
wonderful.
education she's gotten on her own.
She didn't drop a pay grade when she switched, did she?
No, and I would disagree with the thought that women are not as employable as men, that they are lacking in any way. This may have been true in the 60s, but I think by the time we got to the 90s, that all these statistics all show that women earn at the same rate of money, amount of money, at the same rate, rather, I mean to say, of men, and in many instances are actually higher paid than men. So we have to stop claiming that we're discriminated against just because we're female.
Correct.
I think that we have some advantages. I've always thought we've had advantages because we're female, but I like being female. Thank you. Okay, good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.